Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast.
Hello, Archie. Hello, my friend.
Hello, and how are you?
I am well, thank you. I am well. It is Friday. It is time for another Set Phasers episode of Picard, season one. I was going to say season 2. Season 1, episode 2. Maps and Legends.
Maps and Legends.
We missed last week. I think there was some sort of football game thing going on the Sunday.
I believe there might have been a football game and a recording, and you know, we do our best.
We do our best here at Set Phasers. Your English accent's almost better than mine.
Well, I've been watching a lot of British television. And Picard.
Picard. This one?
Picard.
We were just talking about how on earth we were going to use that sound effect. We found it. We found a way.
Yeah. We'll just go. We're watching. We're talking about episode 2 of season 1 of Picard. Yep. There's no way that any of us are going to get tired of that.
No, never.
Yeah. Well, I didn't watch the big game, but I thought maybe thered be a crazy announcement from Paramount Plus, but apparently the only announcement is that CBS is changing its name to Paramount Plus.
Oh, I missed that too. From what they'd posted on the Star Trek forums, I was also expecting some sort of announcement with regards to Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, me too. But no.
Sad face.
It was not to be.
Sad face emoji.
Nonetheless, here we are talking about episode 2 of Picard, I would say the first Star Trek series that is named after a person. And I think I can stand by that. All the other ones are named after ships, or one is named after a station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a vessel, perhaps.
It's named after a vessel in space. This one is named after the vessel of Jean-Luc Picard. And so let's run it down. It's time to run it down. Can you run it down for me? Talk about Picard now. Run it down for me. I'm really becoming a pro at sound mixing.
You really are. I mean, that's phenomenal. I enjoyed that one so much.
It's good that, all the projects that I work on, such as this, don't require me to display any artistic taste as far as like what I'm mixing. I'm just like, pour some reverb on top of that.
Yeah, I do the same. Oh, that's right. You were going to come up with the da-da-da-da.
I am. No, that's on my notes. Yes, the da-da-da-da is going to be changed to Jean-Luc Picard.
Coming soon on Set Phasers.
And I have some other themes that may become relevant as the show progresses. But let's talk about Maps and Legends, shall we? When we last left off, Picard, yes?
What is the star date, Archie Bermise?
Oh my goodness, I didn't write it down. So I'll have to tell you from memory of how I construct them that it is star date 30212.6. Yeah. I'm pretty good at that.
You are on it.
And you can take that to the bank. So last time on Set Phasers, as we discussed about Picard, it was Picard. He's old. He's retired. He left Starfleet. He's angry. He lives in his chateau. He gives an interview. It goes terribly, terribly wrong. He says Starfleet is not what it should have been because the Romulan star exploded and they didn't save the Romulans, but it also synthetics were outlawed because of some sort of terrorist attack. And then he meets a young lady. Her name is Dahj, and she says, I don't know why I'm here, but my brain told me to find you. And he says, you might be Data's daughter after he has a dream and consults some information. And then she's like, okay, great. And then they are attacked by people wearing full black gear, and Dahj is killed. And Picard is like, say, what? And that's sort of the end of episode 1. So, episode 2, perhaps you wonder about what happened with the synthetics. Well, your answers are here in Maps and Legends. We begin in Mars on the Utopia Planitia shipyards. It is first contact day, and only a skeleton crew are operating the shipyards that day, along with their faithful and helpful crew of synthetics. Now, these synthetics look sort of like Data. They have the gold yellow skin and the gold eyes, but they are not nearly as advanced. And we see what a day in the life of a synthetic is like. Kind of wakes up in a box, like with other synthetics, like a little public gym kind of deal. Is brought out. They go to work. They work with some other humanoids. It seems like the humanoids are sort of torn between being cool with the synthetics and sort of making fun of the synthetics. You know, in this instance, they make some jokes with the synthetic, whose name is F8, and some jokes at the synthetic, whose name is F8. But things seem to be going as planned. There's a break for lunch. F8 is chilling.
Do you think there may have been a sort of an inside joke, it being fate? F8?
Well, I do kind of think that, but tinfoil time. I don't want people to think that that's all I do is come up with crazy theories.
That is what you do. It's mostly what you do.
I do other things. I make coffee. So at lunch, F8 kind of has a freak out. His eyes go all weird. F8 gets up and starts messing with the panels in the room. And the humans are like, wait, what are you doing, F8? Get out of here. And one guy goes there and tries to like interrupt him and stop him from messing with all the control panels. And the android just reaches back and snaps that guy's neck like it's nothing. And then F8 appears to like activate the planetary defense grid. And maybe it's aimed like at Mars, I guess, like instead of out. And then picks up some sort of like, not quite a gun, but like a tool that you use for riveting or something that they were using there. And F8 kills the rest of the crew that were working in its little pod, and then kills itself. And then, Mars explodes and its atmosphere is still on fire today. Anyway, Jean-Luc now, as we zip forward to the present, is talking to his two housekeepers, Laris and Zeba. Did I write that right?
I forgot Zeba. I knew it was Laris.
Yeah, Laris and Zeba. And they're reviewing the footage from Starfleet from when Picard and Dahj were attacked. However, Dahj does not show up in the footage. In fact, it just looks like Picard runs out there, falls down. There's no trace of her in the computer, in any of the records, so it seems weird. We find out that his two assistants are former like Romulan Secret Service kind of spooky people. They worked for the Tal Shiar, but Zabin says like, oh, it may not be it looks like the Tal Shiar, and then Lara says it could be the Zhat Vash. And they explained to Jean-Luc that the Zhat Vash is like considered an even more sort of arch radicalized part of the Tal Shiar, sort of, or at least they conduct themselves similarly, but they're more sort of zealot like. And they're used sort of as a scary story. So there's some debate even between the two housekeepers as to whether the Zhat Vash actually exist.
Very Illuminati-esque.
Very Illuminati-esque. However, should they exist, it is posited that they are a group based on getting their ways through acts of terrorism, and they have a hatred and fear of synthetics. So it tracks. So Picard and Laris go to Dahj's apartment. They beam right in there and they find it. It looks like it's been lived in, but it doesn't look like there was a huge, horrible fight here where Dahj was activated and killed 40 people and her boyfriend was stabbed in the chest. None of that seems to be going on. And so Laris uses a sort of outlawed technique of molecular reconstruction to see what had happened in the apartment before, something that the Federation thinks is dubious, and that Laris assures Picard that is what they wanted the Federation to think. And they're able to see Dahj and her boyfriend that night, which we saw in episode 1. And I got into the daydream. It's so great. It's calls for drinks. But it all cuts off. All the data cuts off before the incursion of the people in their black suits. So it's a little confusing. So what did I do? Oh, because guys, just so you know, I use 1 page, but I write on it like it's 2 pages. Laris is suspicious that there's no information. I got to get all the data in there. And she says, if this was the Zhat Vash, they would have been able to wipe the particles here for me to do a molecular reconstruction. So maybe they think we'll use the computer to find out who Dahj last contacted. So maybe we can find that twin of hers that may exist, according to Dr. Jurati. They're able to find the data on the computer, but the mechanisms of data that sort the data are gone. And so it's like it's chaos, it's disarray. But they are able to discover that there is a sister and that the sister exists, but the sister is not on Earth. Smash cut back to the artifact, the Borg cube that is under the control of some sort of Romulan science initiative. And Soji, Dahj's identical twin sister, and possibly also a synthetic. And she's talking with Narek, the super duper hot Romulan, messy hair,
emo,
angsty, rock and emo, listens to the Smiths, Romulan by the name of Narek. And they met and like exchanged a few flirty words at the end of the last episode, but now they are
getting it on.
If you catch my drift, they are in a state of extreme déshabille. And Narek's like, hey, yeah, the artifact. And so just like, that's right. We don't really know what they do on the artifact at this point, but they talk about how it's a cube that's been separated from the Borg collective, and that's why it's vulnerable and the Romulans have control over it. But Narek sort of expresses disdain for the Borg cube because it doesn't do much, except that extracting the Borg technology from it apparently makes them able to turn some sort of profit. Excuse me. Next line, they get intimate. Oh yeah.
Just love that little slip of the tongue.
Yeah, they make some sort of intimate hello. Yeah, it's like my pen drifted off the page because they started getting it on.
You're so mature on this show.
What can I say? Yeah, one time you said boobs and I didn't recover for like 3 days.
I said tits.
What did you say? Oh, even worse. Don't say it again.
I think I said about it.
It was something. No, let's not.
I don't remember. I may have edited it out of the actual podcast, but now we can't do that anymore.
I sure hope you do, but it seems like a pro. Okay, so they decided they're going to have to keep their relationship secret because they're not allowed to actually intermingle. I see you smirking. I can just watch you smirking.
Sorry, I was just remembering saying the boob word again.
Yes.
It's funny. Sorry.
No.
There's no reason to go there.
Apparently, there's some structures within the hierarchy that would mean that Soji and Narek shouldn't be in flagrante with each other. And so their relationship will have to remain on the down low for the time being. However, it's sketchy. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Picard is visited by an old friend. I wrote down his name, so let's see if I can read it. Dr. Moritz Benayoun. And they have tea on the patio. And, well, Picard offers him tea, and then Moritz says, actually, I think you need to give me something a little stronger.
And he was the doctor from the Stargazer.
Yes.
I think we gleaned that information.
Yes. They're old friends. He was the doctor from the Stargazer. Yes, exactly. And he's come with the results of Picard's physical. And he says, Picard, you're in excellent health for a man your age. You're doing wonderful, except there's one thing. You have some abnormality in your parietal lobe. And
parietal lobe.
Parietal lobe. Why for does he have that? Because he was Borg. And Moritz indicates that it's inoperable, it's incurable. There's a lot of options for treatment, but as he puts it, they all end one way. So Picard says, listen, just certify me for space travel because I got something I need to do. And Morse is sort of like, why would you want to go to space when you're in your condition? But he goes, I guess whatever trouble you get up to, maybe it'll kill you before this parietal lobe business kills you.
Super positive diagnosis.
See, hey, listen, they're old men. They, death to death, they are no strangers.
'Tis a good day to die.
'Tis a good day to die. The next day, I presume, Picard goes to Starfleet and he goes to the desk and there's a young person there and he gets his little badge and he's going to meet the CNC, the commander in chief. And he goes up and he gets his meeting with the Fleet Admiral, Kristen Clancy. And basically Picard is there and he sits down and he says, listen, there's some stuff going on. Data, daughter, synthetics, Romulans. I just wondered if you could allow me to requisition a small ship so that I could figure out what's going on with that. And he
Demote
says,
me
hey,
if you need to.
yeah, if it's too conspicuous with me being an admiral in charge of a ship, demote me to captain. I'm fine with it. I got no skin in the game. And Clancy is like, no. She actually uses the words, and I quote, sheer fucking hubris.
That was a good line. I wrote that down myself.
Photos, yeah, it really knocks you back on your feet. It sure does. She mentions the FNN interview where he basically derided Starfleet and the Federation for not being what they once were. They argue. Picard eventually goes into a Picardy style lecture about, well, it's because the Federation should have been there, but they weren't there. And that's why you owe me the thing. And yes, please.
Jean-Luc, sometimes I think the only reason I come here is to listen to these wonderful speeches of yours.
Mm-hmm. But not to be outdone, Clancy, who I'm sure does her own share as a fleet admiral of talking and lecturing to people, basically tells Picard, you're not the big dog here anymore. Go home. Request denied. And so he leaves with his tail between his legs. Soji, back on the artifact, is getting into some overalls. She's pinning some sort of weird device on her chest that has lights on it. She meets a new friend, a Trill. She helps the Trill into the jumpsuit.
Oh, I didn't realize she was Trill. I missed that.
I'm pretty sure she's Trill. I should have.
She did
checked.
have the. You're right. She had the markings.
She
and
did.
I couldn't
Okay.
work out.
I just wrote down. Yeah, she's Trill.
I didn't see it.
Well, what can I say?
There you go.
And they are apparently, we find out that they are guests of the quote Borg Artifact Research Institute.
Bear.
Yeah, Barry, the Barry.
Oh, he's a Barry.
Mm-hmm. Fate, Barry. Remember those things. It's all going to be connected, man. And it won't. They're getting dressed and they see Narek from afar. And remember this little secret Soji has with Narek. But the Trill, whose name we haven't gotten yet, mentions to Soji like, hey, I didn't know Vulcans could be so hot. And Soji's like, oh yeah, they can be hot. And they're like, okay, giggle, giggle. And they get instructions by the administrator. They're basically like, listen, you're going to go into what we call the gray zone, and you may find some former parts of the collective, i.e. Borg, there. You may run into them. They're mostly harmless. However, if your device on your chest blinks green, then run. And then just as they're about to go through, Narek approaches them. And so just like, oh, Narek, you should meet my friend here. And Narek's like, I know who you are. You are, oh no, I wrote this too fast. Dr. Naashala Kunamadestifi. That's not exactly correct. I should have checked the pronunciation, but those are the letters in front of me. Let's call her.
If she were Trill, would she not have had the...
Not if she doesn't have a symbiont. At that point, most Trills didn't have the symbiont. I think that's true. Yeah,
that's probably true. Yeah. It's working. Yeah.
But she is a doctor from the Trill Polytech. We're going to call her Dr. K from now on. And she expresses some concern as they're about to go through about the cube. Could it just reconnect? I mean, we don't know how the Borg work, And Soji and Narek assure her, listen, there's no danger here. Once they have these quantum failure dingy-dangies, the cube is shut off so it doesn't damage the rest of the collective. So this is essentially a graveyard. And Dr. K says, well, what does that make us? And I think Narek is the one who says, well, essentially any people who come to graveyards looking for lost treasures among the dead. He doesn't say it exactly like that, but that's how I like to think he says it. He says it like that with his pouty lips. And then they go through into the gray zone. Before Soji steps through, Narek asks if he can join her for the, quote, procedure. And she says, well, sure, but you'll need approval from the Romulans in command, and then walks away. And then he mutters to himself, actually, I don't. Okay. Back on Earth. This one jumps around. Jurati is visiting Picard, Dr. Agnes Jurati. She doesn't cry in this episode. Note. I'm just letting you know. I think we could figure out times when she doesn't. She's going to be doing a lot of crying. I think
we need a sound effect for that.
I don't want to jump ahead, but it's after she has her interaction with who that she then becomes sort of emotionally and mentally unstable, right? Because they put that thing in her head. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Yes, just so you know, something happens to Dr. Agnes Jurati, I think in the next episode. And Steph and I, what I remember is that we both are like, yeah, she's constantly on the verge of tears. Oh, yeah. Madness and tears. But
it becomes a running joke.
I remembered at this point watching now, I was like, oh yeah, there's a reason for it. It's not that her character is like unstable. It's that they're made unstable by something that happens. End of spoilers. Okay.
I've forgotten what happens. This is why we're rewatching.
Oh, yeah. Well, don't tempt me to do another spoiler alert, but yeah. Okay, great. So she shows up. She asks for Earl Grey tea. Picard is delighted. They have tea together. She has the file on Maddox, but of course it's mostly redacted. She also can confirm that Dahj, whoever Dahj was in fact accepted into the Daystrom Institute. However, Dahj's whole profile, her persona, her history, her story is too perfect. It seems like a constructed identity that was built all at once. And Picard posits, well, could Maddox have done that? If he's alive out there somewhere, could he have done that? And Jurati says, well, he could, but she couldn't figure out why he would want to do something like that. In any case, Jurati says, listen, you should forget about Dahj altogether. She's gone. She's been blowed up. But if you want to get to the bottom of this, you need to find the other android, the matched pair out there, because of the cloning technique. Speaking of the matched pair because of the cloning technique, back to the Borg cube. We watch Soji as she is observing a Romulan scientist operating on one of the sort of like diminished Borg. And the Romulan refers to the Borg as nameless, to which Soji takes some umbrage, you might say. And they remove like an implant from the Borg's arm, and then they remove the ocular implant, which basically is sure to kill them. And it's great. But then Soji does something very weird. And listen, we didn't know that she was a robot, but we kind of guessed. But then she leans over to the Borg, and in Borg language, she says, "You are free, my friend."
I didn't know it was Borg language.
Well, it's not in Borg language. It's in the language of the race that Nameless was. Yeah. Which is like, what's the explanation for that? There ain't none. Back on Earth, Picard picks up his comm badge after a night of contemplation. And he calls Raffi, whoever that may be. And he says, hey, Raffi, it's me, Picard. Don't hang up. The old dramatic thing you do where, lets people know that this person doesn't want to talk to you. Great. You put the badge on.
I put my little badge on.
Yeah. Don't hang up. And he says, listen, I need your help. I need a ship. But there's no response. So now let's do something new. We return to Starfleet headquarters, but now we return to the office of Commodore O, a Vulcan, definitely of high rank. And and she is contacted by Fleet Admiral Clancy. And Clancy explains all the things that Picard is talking about. The androids, Bruce Maddox, secret Romulans carrying out military exercises and killing people in the street without any trace of it. And O says, not super concerned about that. But Clancy's like, listen, I just want you to look into it because he could be a real thorn in our side. And it seems like I put him down, but if he's still interested, he might find another way to pursue this, like Picard. And so Commodore O agrees to do that. Back at the Chateau du Picard, Laris and Zabin have found out about Picard's desire to go after the other android, after Soji, essentially. And Laris is very unhappy about it. She basically says, "Are you senile? Because you're not stupid, and this is a stupid thing."
That's a great scene. I really enjoyed that.
It was pretty wonderful, yeah, because no one talks to Picard like that, and it's very refreshing. She basically says, "Well, then you can go. I don't care, and you should take Zabin with you. That way you can both die together." And she storms out of the room. And Picard and Zabin are like, what? But they sort of discuss what they're going to do. And Picard's like, you need to take care of the vineyard and you should stay behind with Laris, because what if something does happen to me? Because also remember subtext that they possibly don't know about. He gonna die because he got that parietal lobe issue going on. And so this is sort of one last hurrah for Picard. But Zabin does advise him, like, well, if you can't get your friends and have them risk their lives for you, get all the gang back together, Worf, Geordi, and so and so. And Picard's like, I couldn't do that to them. He's like, well, then you'll need somebody who hates you, but will do you a favor, essentially. And Picard's like, I've already made the call. Back to O's office. Who doesn't love Laris? Back to O's office. Enter Lieutenant Rizzo. A human. A female. And she shows up.
Seemingly.
She shows up. And she's discussing with Rizzo, and they're talking about Picard and concerns and so on and so forth. Eventually it comes out that Rizzo is the one who's responsible for the death of Dahj. Because O calls Dahj the Thing. But also they become aware that they think that the cause of that was really O wanted Rizzo to go get Dahj, bring her in, and allow them to question it so that they could find the other ones, the other abominations. But because Rizzo got over ambitious, they killed her instead. And so now they're worried because A, there's more out there and they don't have a lead, and B, Picard now, who they thought would be discouraged by this experience, seems to, because of Clancy's call, still be interested in following up on what's going on with the other one. But they also know about the other one, because then O says, well, you still stay on the mission that you have, and what's going on there, and do you have eyes on it, and are you getting information? And Rizzo says she's got her, quote, best man on it. And O basically says, you better, for your sake and his, which, threat. Meanwhile, Picard takes a taxi which is a great title for like a chapter in a YA book about John Picard. Picard takes a taxi to a desolate, rocky, beautiful sort of desert scape area. And he gets out of the taxi with nothing. He's wearing clothes, but nothing else but a bag with wine in it. And he walks up to a house. And as he approaches the house, a woman emerges with an energy shotgun, essentially. And
you hear it sort of...
Yeah, like cock. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like ready to shoot. And she says, hey, just turn around and go back. Picard puts his hands up in the air and he's like, oh, no, hey, no. I just brought you some wine. I just wanted to talk to you. And she doesn't seem interested. He's like, all right, I'll go if you're really upset. I was just going to tell you about these secret Romulans carrying out, extra, governmental assassinations on the ground. And then the woman's like, wait a second. Is that a bottle of the 86, Picard wine? And he assures her that is, and she invites him in. But we can only assume maybe that's Raffi, but we don't really get like a clear, anyway, what's going on there. We'll find out. Back to the cube. Meanwhile, on the artifact, Narek gets a call. And who should show up on his holographic phone but Lieutenant Rizzo? And he makes fun of her for her surgically rounded ears because she's a Romulan. Hit me with the dun-dun-dun. posing as a human in the Federation. They're in cahoots. And she's tells him to shut up. They have a contentious relationship. He says he's been making progress. His approach is slow, but is the most sound approach. And Rizzo says, okay, well, the Commodore is very distressed, so she's going to be arriving on the artifact soon to take over. And he says, oh, you should trust me. I'm doing it the right way. And she says, listen, you can do it your way, but if you don't get the results that we need before I get there, then we're going to do it my way. And my methods are much more drastic. And in the end, it is revealed she is his younger brother. No, he is her younger brother. She is his younger brother. He is her. Narek and Rizzo, they related. Narek is younger.
Yep. One of them came first.
And that's Rizzo. They're both Romulans, but she's had her ears surgically rounded, and he is a hot, brooding mess. And they're trying to get some information out of, we presume, Soji, about where the other, quote, abominations are. And that is the end of episode 2 of season 1 of Star Trek Picard Maps and Legends. Thank
Very
you.
dramatic. Good job.
It flew around a lot, but then it went right there. Okay. We try. All right, thoughts about this episode?
I enjoyed it. It was a good setup for what is to come. There were some nice little comedic moments that we had, getting to know our characters a little bit deeper. Oh, there were a few comedic moments, actually. There was a few little in-jokes. Did you notice? I'm sure you did. When we got onto the Borg ship, and they were preparing to take people around a tour of the vessel, there was a sign that said 1,846 days, or this facility has not had an assimilation in 5,846 days.
Yes.
Little things.
Romulan humor.
What did you think? What were some interesting moments?
I enjoy it. This is, I remember watching it the first time and rewatching it now. Because I know it's coming, I can appreciate it more than I did the first time. I feel like the first time I watched it, I was like, okay, but what's going on? It just felt like a lot of things were being put in place, but nothing really moved forward. Picard doesn't leave the chateau. There's a lot of meetings. There's a lot of people talking. There's some people kissing in bed. Who cares? But in the end, all of this stuff, this is the quiet before the storm. And this is when you gather ye rosebuds, for the whirlwind is coming. So it's interesting to watch these, because I know in a few episodes all hell's going to break loose and everything is going to be amazing. So I enjoy this. Maps and Legends. It's sort of like also the name, the meaning of the name really sinks in, because this is like, hey, get your bearings, because get your bearings, because as demonstrated by my tablet, everything's gonna fall down soon. Yes, that's how I felt about it. Any quotable moments?
I'm so glad you asked.
Quotable moments.
Let's see.
Quotable moments.
I never really cared for science fiction. I guess I didn't really get it.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yes, that was funny. Picard to Jurati. There wasn't exactly a quotable moment, but I did love it when he went to the front desk at Starfleet and the guy says, name?
Yeah. And they're also like, oh, it's good to see you up and about, sir.
Yeah.
Like he's like grandpa or something.
Yeah. His face was classic there.
Yeah. He was like, I wrote down the little section that Laris and Picard have. What? Have you gone mad? Is it dementia? He says, I beg your pardon. She says, sorry, but you're not a stupid man. So when I hear you say a stupid idea, I have to ask for other explanations.
Yeah. You want me to sit here and worry about the spittle bugs on the Pinot?
The spittle bugs on the Pinot.
Spittle bugs on the Pinot.
Spittle bugs on the...
And then, well, go and take that one with you and you can die together.
Mm-hmm.
That was my Irish.
You made her Irish?
She is Irish.
Is she Irish?
Yes, she's Irish.
I thought she was Romulan.
We had this whole conversation.
Oh, we did. We
week.
talked about this last time. I don't hear it. I just go like,
not hear it.
Sweet, sweet Romulan sound. I totally buy it. I totally buy it.
But she has a different accent to the other one.
I know. Yeah, but I just accept it.
You just see the ears and you're like, cool. All right.
Yeah, I'm like, they Romulan. Yeah, I'm like, Romulans can't be Irish. There's got to be some explanation. That's just, maybe she learned English from an Irish person. I don't know. Oh yeah, I wrote this whole thing down, but they're basically, it's the part where Clancy and Picard are yelling at each other, which I just thought was a great bit of dialogue because you get so much information about the relationship Picard has with the Federation now. But basically, it's all about like the Romulans, we shade them, but they were enemies before, so why are you giving us so much crap about it? And the Picard says the Federation doesn't get to decide if a species lives or dies. And Clancy says, yes, we do. We absolutely do. Thousands of other species depend on us for unity, for cohesion. We didn't have enough ships left. We had to make choices, but the great Captain Picard didn't like his orders. And Picard says, I was standing up for the Federation, for what it represents, for what it should still represent. And then Clancy says, how dare you lecture me? And then at the end, she says, this is no longer your house, Jean-Luc, so do what you're good at. Go home. Request denied.
Do you think we should change the format of the show to you just playing all of the characters?
Me chewing the scenery, doing everything way over dramatic. There you lecture me. I mean, both of us might enjoy it, but I don't think anyone else would.
That's true.
Yeah, and I wrote down the sheer fucking hubris. You think you can just waltz back in here and be entrusted with taking men and women into space? But yeah. Oh, why do you call them nameless? Their species had a name. We just don't know what it was. And then the Romulan artifact extractor says, nameless is a name. That's just heavy.
Indeed.
I'm going to put that up there on computer. Show me where I came from so that I can finally be free with weird sentences that Star Trek does that says that make me feel like I'm meditating. Nameless is a name. All right. I mean, listen, we're about to get into some real sugar honey iced tea. You dig?
Yeah.
So I don't think I have any other specific notes unless I threw them down. No. But I'll tell you what I did forget to do. Write down the next episode. So
should we do we need to Google that?
Yeah, I need to Google it.
You can Google that.
I sure can. What was that?
That's my sound effect for typewriter, you're typing something in.
I quite liked it.
Oh, thanks. To give you a few extra seconds.
I wasn't expecting it, but I quite liked it. Yes. So next week, come hell or high water, we will be discussing episode 3 of season 1 of Star Trek Picard, entitled "The End is the Beginning." Oh, and I should have said we should do next time. I'm a dummy.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, let's do next time.
Next time on Set Phasers.
Yes, next time on Set Phasers, we will be discussing season 3 of Picard. Episode. I did the season thing.
Hang on, should we stop the music? All right.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Yep.
Go.
Next time on Set Phasers.
Yes, next time on Set Phasers, we will be discussing season 1, episode 3 of Star Trek Picard, entitled "The End is the Beginning." Woo, and things are gonna get crazy. So hold on to your butts, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's gonna be a thrill ride. I've already heard from some of you who listen to the show that you're excited that we're covering Picard, which I'm delighted to hear.
Yeah.
And those of you watching now, thank you very much for joining us. And those of you listening afterwards, thank you as well. If you enjoyed the program, you can catch us every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook Live, or if you prefer, as a podcast every Monday, wherever podcasts come from.
Yes, and we are on Facebook, of course, and Instagram at Set Phasers Podcast. My meme game is on point. Please feel free to follow us. Join in the conversation of all things Trek right there.
Hashtag Steph, meme game strong.
Hashtag meme queen.
If you hashtag meme queen, say that 5 times fast. Don't do it. If you want to support us on our continuing mission to discover what Discovery and Picard have in store for us, we'd only be delighted. You can
Picard.
Yes, you can patronize us. We can take it by going to patreon.com/setphasers and signing up to support us.
Indeed, and this weekend we are having our monthly, I was going to say inaugural, but it's not inaugural. We're having our monthly Netflix watch party. What are we watching, Aki? Have we decided?
Yeah, I wrote them down, but I can't remember. But I think, we should debate because I don't think we really talked about it. But since it's going to be Valentine's Day, we thought we'd watch the love episodes of Star Trek. I was thinking either we go with like real cool love ones, like your Riker, Riker Troy's, or super duper awkward ones.
Oh, do you mean like the Geordie love? There's always an awkward Geordie
Obviously,
one.
Geordie and the scientist. That's just so cringy, but it's almost worth it.
There's a good there's one with the Doctor and Voyager. I think there's a super awkward one.
Oh,
there's the Chakotay one in 7.
I think Chakotay and 7 might. Oh,
that's a good one.
That's actually the one.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna watch some Star Trek Voyager this Sunday.
You heard it here first,
on
folks.
Valentine's Day. So bring someone you love and join us. All you have to do is become a patron on Patreon, and you can join us.
For as little as a few bucks a month.
That's right.
You get access
for the price of a cup of coffee. You can hang out with us on Valentine's Day.
And that's what we do with
Shoulders.
it. We just buy coffee.
That's
so
it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is 100% what we do.
Yeah, entirely.
I do put it in my Set Phasers mug. Okay.
That was my line.
Sure.
Until next time, I am Stevie Mans.
And I am Aki Burmese, and this has been Set Phasers. I said Chet Phasers. And I am Aki Burmese.
Checking.
I am Sean Connery. And this has been Set Phasers. I am Aki Burmese, and this has been Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast.
That is all staying in the episode. Computer, where's my button gone? End program.